And let's begin with our prayer before study. Christ, my Lord, the giver of light and wisdom, who opened the eyes of the blind man and transformed the fishermen into wise heralds and teachers of the gospel through the coming of the Holy Spirit, shine also in my mind the light of the grace of the Holy Spirit. Grant me discernment, understanding, and wisdom and learning. Enable me to complete my assignments and to abound in every good work. For to you I give honor and glory. Amen. Most blessed Lord, send the grace of your Holy Spirit on me to strengthen me, that I may learn well the subject I am about to study, and by it become a better person, for your glory, the comfort of my family, and the benefit of your church and our nation. Amen. All right, I'm going to turn this ever so slightly. All right, let me look up our questions, first of all, and then we will do the paper exchange. All right, first of all, why don't you give me what you have? 2 lines of iambic pentameter. This is all I wanted. If you, okay, this is fine. You can always be an overachiever. You can just give everything to Ben and Bren. All right. Oh, okay. Well, Ben, when you have an assignment, always know it's going to get turned in. Also, it would be as neat as possible, but not now because it's too late. Yes, if you have revisions for me, all papers you have for me can come to the middle. Ooh, very nice.
I already sent mine to you.
Okay, fine. So anything you have for me, come to the middle. Ben is writing his out. And then I have some for you. I have on our Merry and Pippin heroes. I was really, really pleased, and here's why. You guys followed directions. And I know that might seem like a silly, it is not silly. It is, guys, it is vital in life that you learn to follow instructions. When I say, do it this way, you gotta do it that way. You can't just, but what if I tweak it a little? Because as I've told you, there are agencies you will get in big trouble with if you don't follow directions. So I asked you to ask the question, to define hero, and then give me examples. I don't expect any revisions of this, okay? If I corrected something, I might have said something like, well, you said he was a hero because of this, but you didn't show it. At this point, we're wrapping up the school year, and probably any advice I give you, you're going to forget by the fall anyway. But anyway, you did what I asked you to do, and I was just really, really pleased. All right, I've got this. This one has no name, so we'll save it. Here, I'm here. I might as well. This one has no name. What? You do have a name on yours. Okay. And if you emailed it, sometimes I try to remember to write the name down after I print it out, and sometimes I forget. Okay, this is Luke. So I've got 2 no names. One of them is probably yours, Christian. Do you want to claim one? Okay. Awesome. All right. For next week, I do not have a writing assignment because anything you give me, I can't give it back to you without having to scan them all and emailing them to you. However, this is going to be purely optional. If you would like to try your hand at more iambic pentameter, if you want to even email me and say, Mrs. Ferguson, did you look at my iambic pentameter? Is it right? If anyone just really took it in your mind, you wanted to write 4 lines and make them rhyme or something, like a little stanza. If you wanted to do, this is optional. If you just want to play with it and then give it to me and say, would this be right? Does this work? And if not, that's fine. If you do, I will look at it while we're here and give it back to you. But this is going to be a very light work week for you because we also finished Return of the King this week. So we only have next week, and we're finishing up the Mills book. But again, if you are interested in poetry, if you just took a liking to it, or you just want to see, you want to like test yourself and see, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? And you want to give it a shot, that would be a good place to start. Try 4 lines of iambic pentameter, but make them all go together and make them rhyme somehow. That would be a next step up. That would be a pretty big step up. It is up to you. Okay, I want to stop just a moment and check and see if anybody ever got back to me about the. And no, 2 people have looked. Oh. Can I turn it off? Yes. That switch only controls the light. Oh, yes, Dave. Sorry, I must have left that on yesterday. Okay, we're good. The light was on when I came in, and it was making a buzzy noise. And sometimes things are going on in the church, and certain things need to be left on. What have I done if I turn the light off? I've done nothing. Okay, I've got your iambic pentameter. You have, and your revisions, if you had revisions. Does anybody else have anything for me? Public, now that we're all here, loved the play. So proud of everyone who participated and those who could have participated except for an accident of their birth. Which I am sure, meaning Anne wasn't a teenager, so she didn't get to do it.
Luke did the best part, Disney.
What?
Luke did the best
That was really funny. And you know what? That is bold. Okay, and Christian too, because we have time. Although I do need to get started. Christian too. It is bold to be silly in front of a group of people, right? Okay. First of all, it's bold to get on a stage. Let's just start with Bryn. I would have been nervous to have been Bryn, just to have to stand there and then go off. Like, what if I don't go? What if I get nervous? What if my heart starts racing and I pass out because I'm hot from the lights? Okay, and I'll embarrass myself. See, what if I fall down? But then the next level is, it's just bold to be silly on stage, publicly in front of people, and so that takes a lot of guts. And so, not to mention that, Luke, you had a fair number of lines to learn, and you didn't have as many, but this is fine.
I tried to do a lot more funny with my actions.
You did. You were. My eyes were on you once I saw you take the ears off, like check them out, and like you were getting your ears ready. It was when you were performing in front of the Duke, right? Like at the end. And so it was just a lot of fun. Katya was there too. Katya enjoyed, and so.
I was just supervising the makeup part. I didn't really.
You know what? This is an important job too. There are a lot of people behind the scenes that make these things happen. So, okay, we need to get started on Queen Elizabeth. We are spending 2 weeks talking about her reign because so many notable things happened, including some of the most famous personages. We are going to look in depth at the crazy story of Mary, Queen of Scots today, because it's just beyond. It sounds like a made-up novel or something, but it's not, which just makes it more interesting. But let us take a look at the questions that came before. All right. First of all, I asked you guys what qualities made Elizabeth a capable queen. What sort of things did you notice? We'll start with Christian.
She had determination.
Okay, she was not going to give up. You know, she'd had some hardships in her life. The third, well, she was the second child, but you know, she had Mary right before her. She had to settle that mess down. Her mom was Anne Boleyn. Her dad had her mom executed. And just to grow up, can you even imagine just a normal person, like you're not royalty or famous or anything? That'd be awful. But she is in the public eye, right? And then becomes queen. She's very determined. Luke, did you have another one? Did you have?
She, like, it was determined, but also she wanted peace.
Okay. She works for peace, which is a very important thing in your kingdom. Before I talk more about that, I'm gonna get Anne's.
She was resourceful, shrewd, gifted, and English.
And English. I'm gonna talk more about that too. Bryn, did you have something to add?
She understood her people.
Yes, which goes along with being English. And is there anything we've missed out on did they steal all yours?
Well educated.
Well educated. In fact, okay, so let's take a look at some of these details that Dorothy Mills tells us. She understood Latin, French, English. It says she was determined to have her own way. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It could be both.
What did you say, Christian?
Depends.
It depends. Okay, so you're saying the same thing. It depends on what it is that you want.
Like, if she's determined to, like, I don't know, make
Go ahead, Larry.
yeah, like kill people, or if she's determined to like make peace or something like that. It
Yes.
depends on what she's determined to
Yes,
do.
yes. It depends on whether or not, yes, you are wise. And then presumably the things you're determined to do are good things. And you won't give up. This goes determination, what you guys were talking about. If you are determined to have your own way and you're a bad person, this is not so good. Yes. Real powers of statesmanship. She was English and loved England. Let's remember why this was thrown in here. Does anybody remember who her sister Mary got married to? Or you tell me whatever you were going to say.
Didn't she go like to France or something?
Her sister Mary was Spain. She married the Prince of Spain, Prince Philip, which ticked everybody off because, we don't get along great with Spain. Spain is very Catholic. Guys, okay, this is really hard for us to imagine because we don't have a king, we have a president, and it changes every 4 to 8 years. But can you imagine a president and his wife isn't even a citizen of the United States? Because Melania Trump is not native U.S., but she's a U.S. citizen, right? But the wife is not even a U.S. citizen. In fact, so much so that they're working. They're working for the king or president of another country. We wouldn't like that very much. No. Even though we can switch the president out in 4 years. Imagine if it's the king or queen.
You want to kill them.
Yeah. And you know what? They did. People did. And then we see a speech here that she gave. She calls them my loving people before they go out to fight against the Spanish Armada. She really understood them. And Mary just didn't understand. She grew up in France. She was Catholic. She didn't understand what these people wanted from her. And Elizabeth understood. Shrewd. One of you said shrewd. So here's Elizabeth is known as the Virgin Queen because she never got married. Virginia is named after Queen Elizabeth. That's why they named that colony Virginia. However, that's not to say she never promised someone she might marry him. And here's what she did. She's got France and the Netherlands and Spain, and she's working them all. So at one time, she's like, "Oh, I might consider a marriage with, your royal family. We'll send some in. We'll talk about that. We'll have lunch." And then it just doesn't happen. But she leads them on long enough to get through whatever crisis there is. And then she shifts it. It's like, "Oh, well, we could arrange a marriage." She used it. The fact that she wasn't married but could get married, she used it. Now, it might seem a little, I don't know, shifty. I don't know that she ever swore and promised. She just insinuated. This could happen, and that's not a lie. It could happen, but it could also not happen, and it never did. And so she was smart enough to use this to her own advantage. Okay, she had problems, though. She had two groups of people that were big problems. We already talked about the fact that are you with me, gentlemen? She ditched the whole head of the church title. That people didn't like that. We're going to get rid of that. I will be the supreme governor. I'm just the governor. I'm not the head. I'm the governor. But she basically was running the Anglican church, the church that her dad set up. All right, we got two groups of people, and they're both unhappy. Group number one, who are the Puritans, and what did they want?
They believed that the Reformation had not gone far enough.
Yes, particularly in England.
Yeah.
So the clue to their name, what do they want to do?
Purify things.
Purify things. I don't like all these candles and pictures and stuff, and this incense has just got to go. And I don't want this guy called a priest. We don't have priests, and I don't want him wearing fancy clothes on Sundays. He's just like, I don't want any of this stuff. I want you to strip it all out of the churches. If there's anything pretty painted on the walls, I want you to whitewash it. We're not doing any of that stuff. And so that was the Puritans. There's a group even worse than the Puritans. Not worse, more determined. The Separatists. Like, we want to purify it. We think it's so wicked we won't even go. At least the Puritans would show up. They would complain, but they would show up. The Separatists, we're starting our own church. These are the people. Puritans did end up in jail sometimes, but it's the Separatists that really ended up in jail. It's the Separatists who came to America and landed in Massachusetts and came over on the Mayflower because they were tired of being put in jail, right? So on the one side, Elizabeth has these people saying, your church that you're the supreme governor of, it stinks. You guys are a bunch of heathens because you got all this stuff and you need to get rid of it, and we're not going to stop complaining until you do. Okay. What's the other group? This ties in with the next question. What's the other group that's unhappy? The Catholics. What? You're not Catholic enough. It's like somebody coming up to you and one of them saying, you're just not tall enough. And someone else comes up and says, you're too tall. You're way too short. What do I have to do to please you people? So the Catholics obviously thought it was horrible, and from a Catholic perspective it was, that they just ditched the Pope and said, we're going to set up our own church. They were also unhappy. Both of these groups are very, very unhappy. However, my next question. The Catholics got a harder rap than the Puritans. Why did Catholics fall under even greater suspicion? What were the Catholics up to, Christian?
Suspicion? Oh gosh.
Oh, that's okay.
Wait,
Tell me what direction you were going. It's okay.
I
Tell me.
think the Catholics were afraid of Elizabeth.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Elizabeth was afraid of the Catholics.
Oh.
Why? But Christian, can I follow up on that? Why might Elizabeth? Why might the Catholics be more afraid of Elizabeth?
She was a Protestant. She killed some Catholics.
Okay. That's a legit answer to that question. But let's flip it. What were the Catholics up to that perhaps might have concerned Elizabeth? Did anybody find it?
Roughly being like sneaky.
Okay, they're being sneaky, and more so than that. Let me read this. Now, up to this time, the priests who had come secretly to England, there's the sneaky part, came to give mass to the Catholic English and were mostly unconcerned with politics. So priests would sneak in. They'd come across the English Channel, or they'd sneak in from Ireland, and you'd sneak them in, and you had a little private chapel, and they'd say mass, and they'd sneak out, so that you could have the Eucharist. So up till then, they were sneaking in and out, sneaky. But then listen to this. Foremost amongst such was Father Campion. Saintly, courageous, sincere, enthusiastic, he was beloved by all to whom he ministered. But he was imprisoned in the Tower of London and condemned to death. He maintained to the end, even before he died, that he had been sent to England only to convert her. I'm only here to get Elizabeth back in the church. But this was not true of all the priests who came to England. After 1570, the Catholic cause became identified with Spain, and plots were laid to dethrone Elizabeth, even to kill her, and to make Mary, and this is Mary, Queen of Scots, queen in her place. Catholics were sneaking in, financed by either France or Spain, often by Spain, to assassinate Elizabeth and put her cousin on the throne, her Catholic cousin.
But isn't killing a sin? And like Catholics would kill.
You would think so, Julia. However, perhaps in this case, I don't know, they figured they could get absolved because it was for God. I mean, people killed people on the Crusades.
True.
But no, in general, sneaking in and assassinating another world leader, you would think that would not be on the naughty list. And you know what? Perhaps it was. I'm not saying the Pope sent them to do it. But I am saying maybe the King of Spain suggested it would be a really convenient thing. And these are two different things. So we can understand, if you think this group of people is sending groups in to assassinate you, can you understand being a little hard on them? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. What was Elizabeth's main foreign policy goal? I already actually talked about this, Katya. Peace. And what shifty thing did she do to get the peace?
Marriage.
Yeah, she kept making promises. She kept making promises. In other words, I mean, okay, don't do this. I feel like I teach you guys bad things, and you go home to practice them. Okay, so you've got there's 3 siblings, and everybody wants something different for dinner, right? And your mom already has plans. Can you imagine, like dropping hints to one sibling that what the other sibling wants isn't very good, just so that the other sibling will go, but it looks like you didn't do it. So, this one wants pizza, and this one wants Chinese, and this one wants Thai. You want Thai, takeout, whatever. And your mom's making lasagna at home, all right, whatever, which is close to pizza. But anyway, so the Thai person goes to the Chinese person and drops hints that pizza, I think we're going to get it from that place, and their pizza's not very good. But then you go over to the pizza person and you say, I heard that Chinese place. I heard that somebody else took over, and their egg rolls are really bad now. You see, and you're not. You see what you're doing? So your 2 siblings will go after each other because and it looks like you're innocent, but you're not. You did the whole thing. Don't do this.
I've done it before.
Okay, that's very honest of you. You know what? And it's quite possible that many of us have done this before.
Have you done it before?
Probably. I cannot think of a specific instance. Also, my brother and sister are way, 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 way younger than me. Like way, way younger. Like they were little tiny when I got married. So I didn't really grow up with them. So I couldn't really do stuff like that. Anyway. to my siblings. I'm sure about other people or not. Yeah, wanted peace, but she's not afraid to lead people on to get it. But it's a good goal. Like, I just don't want any wars. We've been through my dad. Then we've been through all those wives. Then when we've been through Edward, and then he died, my brother. And then we've been through old Mary. We just need to calm it down. Now, I said that. Well, actually, can you answer the last question, which I kind of already answered? What was the dilemma in dealing with Mary, Queen of Scots? Did anybody write down a dilemma there? What's the problem? Yeah, Christian.
Mary is the rightful heir.
Okay, Mary, Queen of Scots is the next heir if Elizabeth dies childless. And currently, Elizabeth is not married, so it's looking very likely. Why is that a dilemma?
Because people are trying to kill her.
Okay, because people are trying to kill her and say, why are they? She's Catholic. She's Catholic, and everything will go back to what it was like under Mary. All right.
So, did Elizabeth just not get married? Like,
She just didn't get married. I don't know what she wanted. She was rumored to have sort of favorite guys. She might have had boyfriends. There might have been little things going on the side, but she never got married. And it is quite possible. You remember all that shrewd, determined. I mean, some people operate well alone because they just are kind of consumed with their job and their work, and they don't mind. They're not lonely. We don't know. We cannot, unfortunately, interview Elizabeth and say, how did you feel about not getting married? However, I want to tell you, because I fear you might have sort of skimmed through the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, or not got the full import of everything. I got to tell you the story of Mary, Queen of Scots. It sounds made up. Okay. Mary was born in Scotland. Her mom was French, and her dad was the King of Scotland, and his last name was Stuart. This is the Stuart family, okay? When Mary is a toddler, her dad dies. So her mom, also named Mary, decides to go home and be with her family in France. Because, okay, Scotland is pretty far north. The weather can be not so nice. It's nice in France. It's really nice in France. So, and it's foggy and cold with rocky crags and stuff in Scotland. And France, like, it's flower gardens. And so I want to go home. So she goes home and she takes little Mary home with her. And apparently little Mary was just charming. She was one of those toddlers and little girls, and she dances around, she sings cute songs, she puts flowers in her hair, and everybody's like, oh, isn't she cute? She's so cute. She's the cutest ever. And everybody loves her. So they hatch a plan. You know what? We're just going to marry her. We're going to betroth her to the French prince. She can just marry the prince when they get of an appropriate age, which I know is like in their mid-teens. I know. It's like they're 15, all right, and they get married. His name is Francis as well. All these Francises in France, right? Francis, first of all, just isn't very fun. You know, he's kind of boring. Second of all, maybe he's boring because he's sick. He's just sickly. And they're married about 18 months and he dies. She's a widow and she's 18 years old. She's a widow and she's 18 years old. So here she is. And she, you know, doesn't really have an official position in France anymore. Her husband was the next king. she's not. I mean, her mom is in. So in Scotland, and in France too, because France wanted to get along with Scotland. What they wanted to do is grab England in the middle, is what they really wanted to do, right? And Scotland's here, and France is here, and England is in the middle, and we just like to do that sort of thing. You might remember that during the 100 Years' War, every time the English went to France to start fighting, the French hired the Scottish to come down and attack them. So they said, look, why don't we send Mary home and she can be Queen of Scotland? She is the Queen of Scotland. Her dad was the king. There are no other heirs. So she's not 19 yet. And she goes to Scotland. She hasn't been to Scotland since she was 2 or 3 years old. She doesn't know, and she doesn't know anything about the people. Remember we said Elizabeth was very English? Mary is not very Scottish. Right? She just doesn't know. And here's the thing about Mary. Guys, she's a teenage girl. She likes to wear pretty clothes. I mean, I'm not saying this is every teenage girl, okay? But she likes to dress up and go out and have parties and hang with her friends and do fun stuff, right? Because I'm young. And so she did these things. She didn't see any harm in it. But somebody did. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, John Knox? That guy. John Knox, who had gone to Geneva and hung out with Calvin. Remember what Geneva was like? Parties. So he comes back and he's trying to make Scotland into Geneva. And Mary shows up and she's just got her pretty clothes. And she's like, hi everybody, I'm so happy to be here. Come to the palace, we're going to have a party. We'll have hors d'oeuvres and I don't know, we'll play Twister. Whatever. And John Knox, so he's, no. There, Christian, if it makes you happy, there will be killing in this story, but it's not, it doesn't involve John Knox. So apparently, he came and talked to her. He wrote down some of their talks, if they're accurate. Let me see if I can find, just a second. I can't, just a second. Scotland, okay, there it's about the Reformation in Scotland. I know there's a place where it says that Knox came and gave her little talkings to. And tried to understand, and she tried to understand him. Oh, you know what? You know what? That was back in the chapter on John Knox. That's what I'm remembering from. Hang on. Let me go back to that chapter. Okay, John Knox. Okay. Her way was not his way, and she could never come to an agreement with him. He does not seem to have disliked her personally, but she represented principles with which he could not compromise, and the result was open opposition to her. He considered that, quote, she had a proud mind, a crafty wit, and an indurate heart against God and his truth. The English agent in Scotland wrote of Knox and his opinion of Mary. This is what he wrote. He is so full of mistrust in all her doings, words, and sayings, as though he were either of God's privy council, that he knew how he had determined of her from the beginning. In other words, Knox struts around like he's totally sure what God thinks of Mary. Or that he did not know the secrets of her heart so well that neither she did nor could have forever one good thought of God or of his true religion. Well, she doesn't agree with me, so she must hate God. So she's dealing with him. All right. So she would like to get married. All right. It says Elizabeth, Queen of England, was determined that if she could prevent it, Mary should marry no prince from France, Spain, or Austria. I don't want you marrying someone from France, they're Catholic. No one from Spain, they're Catholic. Austria, also Catholic. Why? Because Mary, Queen of Scots, is next in line for the throne after Elizabeth. So she married Lord Darnley, a Scottish nobleman who through his mother had certain claims on the English throne. So he was distantly related to the royal family, and he was a nobleman. Great. Except Lord Darnley wasn't very fun either. And so she met this guy. His name was Rizzio, and he was a musician, and he gave her music lessons. As far as we know, this is all that happened. He gave her music lessons, and they had a little music. Well, Darnley got ticked off about this, so he got a band of people together, and one day, during the music lesson, and Mary wasn't the only one there, there were other ladies, they came in and stabbed him to death.
Bro.
They stabbed him 54 times.
Yeah.
They threw him down the stairs. I mean, this was not because he was jealous. Also, Mary was pregnant. And he was not very happy because he was not totally sure who Daddy was. Because he's been hanging out a lot with the music guy. They stabbed him to death. Okay, so Mary's like, okay, so she goes back. Okay, if your husband comes and stabs your music teacher to death in front of you, this kind of puts a rift in the marriage. You can see this, right? So they weren't getting along so well. Enter Bothwell, Lord Bothwell. Bothwell was another nobleman and a friend, and he was a shoulder to cry on, and which she did. And some people thought Mary was hanging out with Bothwell just a little bit more than was good for appearances. Meanwhile, she was not. She was living apart from Lord Darnley because they had more than one house, you know. But Lord Darnley got sick. He got he had smallpox, which it could be fatal. Yeah, I mean, it is fatal sometimes. But she goes and she takes care of him. And he gets better. She goes and she makes him soup. Okay, listen. You got to listen to the end. Then one night, she said, I have an engagement. I need to go out. Some friends, whatever, have called me. It was just like an innocent sounding thing. And she left the house that night. Someone blew up the house that night. They blew up Lord Darnley. Okay, actually not. They found his body in the garden, and apparently he'd been strangled before the explosion. But it was an assassination job. And it seems really weird that Mary happened to have an engagement not at home that night when this happened and her house blew up. Okay, so you can imagine this is high-level scandal, right? We think our queen just hired assassins to murder her husband and blow up the house and try to make it look like an accident? What? And so people are on her. John Knox is all over this, right? So where does she go? She doesn't know where. She could have gone to France. She has friends in France. Her mom's friends in France. But she runs to England. She goes to her cousin, Elizabeth, saying, Elizabeth, you've got to help me. Here's the thing about Mary. Well, okay, we'll talk about that at the end. The story's not over yet. Because it sounds made up even now, but I'm not even done, okay? So she comes and she says, Elizabeth, I don't know what happened. I know nothing about this incident. I am not responsible for any of this. Someone is setting me up. Okay, so ambassadors come from Scotland, and they have a silver, pretty, ornate box. And they called that sort of pretty box a casket. You know, today a casket means you bury people in it, but just any pretty box called a casket. and it was full of letters. It was full of letters from Mary to Bothwell talking about getting rid of her husband. So they showed him to Elizabeth and they said, and she says, I've never seen these before in my life. I'm telling you, they're setting me up. I'm telling you, somebody forged these because A, who's stupid enough to save letters that say you're going to kill someone? This is another bad thing I'm teaching you. If there's, you get rid of the incriminating evidence, right? You don't. What do they do in movies, right? After you shoot someone, you throw the gun in the river, right? You get rid of it. You don't take it home. They'll find it. You get rid of everything that ties you to the crime. But Bothwell supposedly kept all Mary's letters in this silver box. Now, they were so mad, they destroyed them. However, they made copies. And, those Xerox machines, right? So they handwrote copies. So here's the thing. Unfortunately, we have no ability to take it to handwriting experts now. See, now they have people whose job it is to look at samples of people's writing and compare minutely, and they're very good at it. A forgery might get past them, but they catch things that are hard to catch now. Well, those are gone. Because we have other samples of Mary's writing. We could do it. They burned them. But we do know what they said. And people who know a lot about Mary, Queen of Scots, one of these letters is a page and a half long. They're not just little love notes or something. I mean, it lays out the whole thing. And the experts say, particularly that one, if this was a forgery, it was really good because it sounds like her. They did a really good job. But guys, no one knows. No one will ever know. Did she help kill her husband? Was she innocent? Was she framed? And I'm sure John Knox was a God-fearing man, but there's a line where people get obsessed with making a country godly and they almost will do anything for it. Do you know what I mean? We will never know. But Elizabeth had a problem on her hands because if she sends her away to another country, she's a rallying point, right? All the Catholics in that country will rally around her, and they'll keep trying to bump Elizabeth off and put her on the throne. Plus, if she just lets her go, it kind of looks like she might have had her husband murdered. You gotta do something. So basically, I was gonna say put her in prison. That's not really accurate. She put her under house arrest. She gave her she had nice places to live. She wasn't eating bread and water and sleeping on, a cot on the floor. She had nicer, but she wasn't free. She couldn't leave. But every once in a while, they would move her around to another castle somewhere because over and over and over again, she tried to escape. Here's what would happen, and it happened more than once. Some Catholics from Spain or France would come in, and they'd slip her notes somehow. They'd pay off guards, and they'd say, "Hey, Mary, we're gonna sneak in the country. We're gonna kill Elizabeth and break you out, and then put you on the throne." And she would agree to it. She'd say, "Okay, sounds, I'm in." And then once she got almost to the coast to get in a boat and escape, and they caught her. Guys, this went on for 19 years.
Wow.
By the way, I mentioned she was pregnant.
Oh.
She left the little boy behind when she ran. She saw him when he was a year or two old, and she never saw him again.
Oh, damn.
Because, we're assuming his dad was Lord Darnley, and his grandpa was certainly the King of Scotland. Because Mary's dad was King of Scotland. So finally, after enough of these escape attempts and assassinations and whatnot, Elizabeth said, "Look, we got to put it into this," and she had her killed. She had her publicly executed. She was only 35 or 36 years old. She'd been through all that. And her hair had gone gray. She had really aged, but she always wore a wig. And Dorothy Mills says, they chopped off her head, and the wig fell off. And it's got this thin gray hair, just from stress and exhaustion. And so dies Mary, Queen of Scots, leaving behind a son, James VI of Scotland. When Elizabeth dies without an heir, James VI of Scotland comes down and he becomes King James of King James Bible fame. That's his mom. So he's known as James VI of Scotland, James I of England, because there hadn't been a James before in England. So this is the Stuart family. The Tudor, Henry VII and Henry VIII and all these people, their family was the Tudor family. These are now the Stuarts. The Stuarts took over from Scotland. And now Scotland and England are ruled as one entity. The British Isles. All right. Ireland, things happen in Ireland later. Any questions or comments about that crazy story, which is the true story of Mary, Queen of Scots? There's a footnote in my book, and it has just a second. I got to get to the. Oh no, I'm too far. I'm really interested in it. It's called, where was it? Oh. No, that wasn't it. There was a footnote, and it was a book, and it sounded really interesting. The Mystery of Mary, Queen of Scots, or something like that. And I thought, ooh, I want to read The Mystery of Mary, Queen of Scots. The mystery is, how much did she know? All right. That is that. Next week, your only actual assignment is to finish chapter 20 and answer the questions, unless you would like to try your hand at some more poetry.
No. Let's go.
We are going to look at, and why don't we do that right now? We're going to look at the next sonnet. I told you a sonnet a day keeps the doctor away. That is not the way that proverb goes. Keeps the ignorance away. Oh, I like that. We should write that down. Okay, so if everybody could turn, and Ben, if you could look on to back to page 70. Let me remind you of what we learned about sonnets. They always have 14 lines. And they always have, Shakespearean sonnets, always have 4 lines that kind of go together, 4 lines that go together, 4 lines that go together, and 2 lines that wrap it up. If you're wondering, and you're probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway, the sonnets, the Italian sonnets, they were 8 and 6. They developed an idea in 8 lines, and then they wrapped it up in a counterpoint in 6 lines. But Shakespeare goes 4, 4, 4, 2. Excuse me. So here's the deal. I'm going to read, and you read along with me, 4 lines, and then we're going to try to figure out what he's talking about. Okay. What's the main idea? Okay.
Is
But
this the Sonnet 55?
Sonnet 55. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. But you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. Okay, this is kind of hard.
I think he's talking about this sonnet.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Because it says, he's talking about
What are the words? These contents, and there's another phrase.
Shall outlive
This powerful rhyme. Okay, so he is talking about this poem. And he's saying there are things that won't what? That they won't outlive it. What kinds of things won't outlive this poem?
Gilded monuments
Mhm.
of princes, not marble.
Okay, so what do you think he means? Gilded monuments and marble. What are we talking about?
Houses and stuff.
Palaces, temples, beautiful buildings. So we know the first two lines. He's saying, hey, all those beautiful buildings that they build, this poem will live longer than they will. Now, we're not done, because he says something else will also shine. And then he compares it to unswept stone. The unswept stone, there's the monuments again, right? Be smeared with sluttish time. In other words, time passes and they get gross. I feel like there's just, here's what I'd like you to do. Move the water jug away. Take a drink if you want to, and then move it so you can't, so it's just not in front of the books, okay? Because it's just a distraction. Yes, thank you. I'm not saying don't get a drink, but I would like there to be a little less commotion. So, marble, monuments, stone, be speared with time. They won't live as long as this rhyme, and something else will shine in this poem. You! Whoever he's addressing, you shall shine. Now, Luke, you're making a little frowny face. Is there another way we could interpret that?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. Because the you could be the poem. He could be talking to the poem. But he's already called it this powerful rhyme. So he's already talked about it in the third person, and it would be weird for him to address it as you. So we assume there's two things going on here. He's talking about this poem, and there's also a person that he's directing this to. And he's saying, the poem and this person will outlive all those monuments and palaces. Are we good?
Is he talking to himself? His poem and you?
Maybe. Well, we'll have to wait and see, because we haven't finished the poem. Let's see what we hear. All right, next 4 lines. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and broils are fighting, and broils root out the work of masonry, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. Okay. Something will not get rid of the memory of this person they're addressing. What will not get rid of the memory? Yeah, war. Wars. I mean, all of these things are just synonyms for war. Wasteful war, broils, Mars, war's quick fire. It doesn't matter if wars come through. You will be remembered. These cannot get rid of the living record of your memory. Is this kind of the same thing he just said? Mm-hmm. So in the first 4 lines, what is it that messes things up? Time. In this 4, what is it that messes things up? War. All right? Same idea. All right, let's look at the next 4. 'Gainst death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall still find room even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the ending doom. All right. What's the villain? Okay, we had time is the villain, war is the villain. What's the villain now? Death. Against death and all oblivious enmity, all forgetfulness. You know, I read this very depressing thing once. It doesn't take very many years that pass before after you die, no one knows you ever lived. It's like the average was like 150 to 150 years, maybe. And unless you're famous, like you did something notable, no one will know you ever lived. This is a good thing for us to remember. It's depressing, but also this is not our home. This is not where we're building a kingdom, right? A lasting kingdom. Because if you think about it, I know my great-grandpa and grandma, because they died when I was a little older than you guys. They were born in the 1880s. They've been dead 50 years. Let's say I live another 20 years. And they've been dead 70 years then. And I've talked about them to my children. So my children know of them, even though they never met them. But you see, will my children talk about it to their children? Probably not. See, and you get to that level, and think about it. How well do you know who your great grandparents are? See, it doesn't take very long before we forget. But he said, you know what? That all oblivious enmity won't take you out, because you shall pace forth. Your praise shall still find room, even in the eyes of all posterity that wear out this world to the ending doom. How long is your memory going to last? The ending doom, the end of time. Wow. So, whoever he's talking to, time will not take you out. War cannot take you out. Death and forgetfulness cannot take you out. Now we got 2 lines to find out why. So, till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lovers' eyes. Till the judgment, when you yourself arise, till the resurrection, you live in this. It goes back to this. It won't outlive this powerful rhyme. And here we are, guys, it's 400 years old. And we're talking, we don't even know who it's addressed to. There are ideas, right? But it doesn't matter. Whoever this is, we're thinking about them right now. He was right. So it's very cool. So do we see the 4442? So let's just take a line and see how he did with the iambic pentameter. I'm going to put it on the board and let's scan it. I'm going to finish. Oh, yeah, that is a really good one. Marble. Well, see, you're hitting every.
Are you supposed to have everyone?
No. What was iambic? Da 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 da. Remember, you just did it. Here we go. I'll say it for you, but let's look at it. This is how we scan a poem. Find the meter. Marble. Marble. Which I know I'm skipping not. I'm skipping it for a reason. Marble. Which syllable has got the oomph? Do we say marble?
No, mo.
Marble. So marble, right? Hard, soft. So this one needs to be a soft. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments. Da 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 da. There's 10 syllables. There's 5 of these groups. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments. But again, when you say poetry, when you read poetry, don't do it like that. Let the rhythm. If you ever have a chance to publicly read poetry, don't. Da 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 da. It's not really a good look or sound. But I will do it. Of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. Now, powerful. It's got an extra powerful. It's 3, but we need to say powerful. Powerful. And if you have ever looked, sometimes at very old hymns and very old poems, they'll, instead of writing powerful, they write something like this. Powerful. To tell you that you need to make it 2 syllables. But you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluggish time. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and broils root out the work of masonry. I will not continue on this because you get the idea. Iambic pentameter. You've now read 2 Shakespearean sonnets, and I think that you guys understand. It's really not, it's old-fashioned language, but you just read it and you stop, well, what's he, he didn't seem to have a whole lot of trouble figuring out, oh yeah, war. War won't wipe this out. Great. Death won't wipe this out. Yeah, you got it. All right, next week we will look at the last one. The last one is my favorite one. So I will save it for my final week for my personal joy. That one I chose to memorize. The next one I have in my mind because I love it so much. All right, let us take a look. We have finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And so we all know how it ends. We don't have to hide any information from anyone anymore. I want to talk about Saruman.
That guy.
That guy.
He wants him again.
That guy.
How does Saruman react? You listening? Okay. How does Saruman react to mercy? Yes, it just makes him matter. We see it a couple of times, just to remind you. First of all, the Ents let him go. Remember the Ents? Fangorn was supposed to be guarding him, and he said, "Look, he just droned on. He complained, and then he couldn't do anything anymore because everything was destroyed. And I heard that Sauron had been taken down." And Gandalf says, "Well, maybe," he says, "but I also suspect his voice had something to do with it. That even Ents aren't immune to that voice that gets them to do what you want." So he said, well, he's gone. So they head north. The entourage heads north. You know, after the wedding and everything, and they have buried Theoden, and they head north, and people are, you know, Galadriel goes her way and everything, and they head north, and they come across these 2 beggar-looking guys walking beside it, right? Remember? And Gandalf, and the rest of them are like, "Well, Saruman," and he's kicking Wormtongue. And they say, here, just a second, I may have marked it. 299. Oh, no, that was the other mercy. He says, basically, I don't want your charity. I don't want your charity. I don't need your help. And Gandalf begs him, you were great once. You can come back and work with, we could rebuild Middle-earth. No. Have you ever met that sort? We like to say my way or the highway. If it isn't going to go my way, if you don't play the game I want to play by my rules, I'm not going to play at all.
Saruman says, "What is that to you?" He answers, "Will you still order my going, even though you're not content with my ruin?"
Okay, very good, yes. You're still telling me, you're still bossing me around, Gandalf. Thank you, Ben, for finding that. You're still bossing me around. And they leave, and the hobbits say, well, you know, at least he really can't do any harm. And Gandalf says, you know what? I'm pretty sure he is still quite capable of harm in a little mean way. In a little mean way. Where does he decide to go and do harm? The Shire. he goes and he ruins the Shire. Why do you think he chooses to go there?
Because he's mean.
If the hobbits were going to destroy the
Okay.
ring,
Just are intolerable, and they destroyed the ring. Somebody, was it Kristen or Luke? One of you said something.
I said they're mean. And they're innocent. And they're easy to fight.
What do you mean they're mean?
No, the bad guys are mean.
Oh, yes. I think you meant the hobbits are mean. Yeah, okay, because they prey, okay, that's legitimate, because they prey on the innocent.
And the weak.
Now, I'm going to ask you to peel back a layer and see if we can look underneath that. All this is true. What do the hobbits in the Shire have that Saruman just can't ever have? Happiness, peace, contentment. They know joy. What do they need? Good food, pipeweed, good beer, pretty flowers, and going for a nice walk, and some nice trees. And they're so content with their little gardens. Can you ever picture hobbits rising up and wanting to take over the world? No, I mean, it makes you, it is. That would just be way too much trouble. I would miss meals, first of all. I would miss meals if I tried. No, way too much trouble.
I could see to be like, hey, let's do this. And then like a day into it, they're like, no.
No, it's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no good.
I love the book when they attack the Ruffians with all the hobbits.
Yes. Isn't that hilarious? Okay, so Saruman, remind me that's where I want to go next, okay? Let me finish this up, but I would love to go there next. So finally, when they find out who's behind all of it, Sharky, who Sharky is, they think the whole time it's Lotho. They think it's the Sackville Bagginses, but this just seems low even for Sackville Bagginses, right? Just to rip out trees and ruin the entire Bag End and the whole Bagshot Row, and that seems mean even for them. I'm sorry, you're cold, aren't you?
No.
Okay, I turned the heat up, but my feet are cold, if that makes you feel any better. And so they find out who it is. Saruman laughed. He said, "Evidently you did not expect to see me here." "I did not," said Frodo, "but I might have guessed. A little mischief in a mean way. Gandalf warned me that you were still capable of it." "Quite capable," said Saruman, "and more than a little. You made me laugh, you hobbit lordlings, riding along with all those great people, so secure and so pleased with your little selves. You thought you had done very well out of it all, and could now just amble back and have a nice quiet time in the country. Saruman's home could be all wrecked, and he could be turned out, but no one could touch yours. Oh, no! Gandalf would look after your affairs." He says, one ill turn deserves another. So, all the hobbits around are saying, "Don't let him go, kill him, he's a villain and a murderer, kill him." Saruman looked round at their hostile faces and smiled. "Kill him," he mocked. "Kill him if you think there are enough of you, my brave hobbits." He drew himself up and stared at them darkly with his black eyes. "But do not think when I lost all my goods I lost all my power. Whoever strikes me shall be accursed, and if my blood stains the Shire it shall wither and never again be healed." Is this true? No, it's not true. His power has all been taken away except one. He can charm them with his voice. The hobbits recoiled. But Frodo said, "Do not believe him. He has lost all his power, save his voice, that can still daunt you and deceive you if you let it. But I will not have him slain. It is useless to meet revenge with revenge. It will heal nothing. Go, Saruman, by the speediest way." "Worm! Worm!" Saruman called, and out of a nearby hut came Wormtongue, crawling almost like a dog. "To the road again, Worm," said Saruman. "These fine fellows and lordlings are turning us adrift again. Come along." Saruman turned to go, and Wormtongue shuffled after him. But even as Saruman passed close to Frodo, a knife flashed in his hand. Wormtongue's hand. And he stabbed swiftly. The blade turned on the hidden mailcoat and snapped. A dozen hobbits. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Saruman going to kill Frodo. I'm sorry. The blade turned on the hidden mailcoat and snapped. A dozen hobbits, led by Sam, leapt forward with a cry and flung the villain to the ground. Sam drew his sword. No, Sam, said Frodo. Do not kill him even now, for he has not hurt me. And in any case, I do not wish him to be slain in this evil mood. He was great once, of noble kind that we should not dare to raise our hands against. He has fallen, and his cure is beyond us, but I would still spare him in the hope that he may find it. Saruman rose to his feet and stared at Frodo. There was a strange look in his eyes of mingled wonder and respect and hatred. You have grown, halfling, he said. Yes, you have grown very much. You are wise and cruel. You have robbed my revenge of sweetness, and now I must go hence in bitterness, in debt to your mercy. I hate it, and you. Well, I go, and I will trouble you no more. But do not expect me to wish you health and long life. You will have neither. But that is not my doing. I merely foretell. I hate your mercy.
I think Will wants to die.
What?
I think Saruman wants to die.
Perhaps. Perhaps. And then he does, yes. So he says, you have grown, halfling. Merry and Pippin have grown. Okay, first of all, they have literally grown. They are taller than they were when they left. Why does everybody talk about how tall they are? They drank the Ent drink
Multiple times.
multiple times.
That's got
And even had one last cocktail before they were heading out. When they met, like, would you like to drink one more?
I think it's some of that.
So they think, I mean, these guys are impressive. They're like the tallest hobbits anyone has seen for a while. And they come home in all their armor. They're used to it. They've been in world-changing wars. And they march in, and it's so hilarious. Stop! You're not allowed in here. Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up. I know who you are. They just ripped the sign. You get down here and open this gate right now. Now, you bring me something to eat. You have anything better than this? And then when they say, we're arresting you, this is fine. And then they just try to head. The other guys get tired. It's like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and we'll meet you there. Like, don't forget you're arrested. Yeah, we'll remember. But do you remember what Frodo doesn't want to do when they have to deal with the ruffians? Kill. I don't. Why do you think he feels that way?
Too much people killed.
Because he's, okay, Merry and Pippin have seen people killed. And Merry and Pippin say, and I'm not saying your answer is wrong, I'm saying there's a deeper level to it. Merry and Pippin have seen lots of death. Merry and Pippin have been tortured by orcs. But they're very clear-sighted about it. Look, Frodo, we are not going to clean this mess up without some bloodshed. These guys, we can't just go boo, and they're not going to just go run away. There's going to be some killing. We can at least keep it to a minimum. And Frodo agrees to this. Okay, I don't want hobbits slain, and some hobbits get killed. But he says I don't want hobbits killed by other hobbits, right? If they decide to join the ruffians or something. No, we're not doing that. So they've all seen death and torture and horrors. Why do you think, what is the difference? Merry and Pippin, like, you know what, this is the way it's going to go down, and we're going to have to kill a few of them. And Frodo says, only if we have to. It's explained partly by the terrors that they've seen, but it's not completely explained. What else do you think might be going on? What do you think, Ann? What?
Is that like Gollum?
Tell me more. What do you mean?
When Gandalf said not to kill him?
Okay, so Saruman just tried to murder Frodo, and Frodo said, just let him go. Just let him go. Maybe, and he actually says the words this time, maybe he can be healed. Frodo has a history of mercy. Even though they're at the very beginning in Fellowship of the Ring, when he says, well, it's a pity Bilbo didn't kill him when he had a chance. And then when he sees him, he says, I do pity him. what else has happened to Frodo? So we know Frodo has a history of being merciful. What else has happened to Frodo?
He's the whole journey. He's carried the ring, and he's glad it's off. And he's like, I don't want to kill anyone.
Yeah. He's come closest to the deepest level of evil any of those people had ever come to. Because he wore it. He wore it. And so, not to mention the recurring pain from the stab on Weathertop. He also had a Nazgul blade melt into his system. And remember, I don't know if you remember what they said. Elrond and Gandalf said eventually he'd become a wraith. That's the direction he was headed. It was bad, and it hurts him every year on the anniversary of Weathertop. And every year on the destruction of the Ring Day. By the way, did you know that the destruction of the Ring Day is March 25th? Does that mean anything to you?
Oh,
Spring.
What happens on March 25th?
does it like America's Eve? Is that what
It's the Annunciation. It's the Feast of the Annunciation. In other words, the evil is fleeing because Mary is conceived, which is lovely. And Tolkien was Catholic. Tolkien knew very well that March 25th was the Feast of the Annunciation.
Is it like a ton of things that the orcs just like to demonstrate to people? Like, you can look it up online, but these characters intended to represent like angels.
Oh, possibly. Now, I do know this about Tolkien. He was very much a hater of allegory. So if you've read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it's just so painfully obvious that Aslan is Jesus, right? I mean, it's meant to be. It's just obvious. He dies and comes alive again. Tolkien didn't like that sort of thing, where you had characters that were symbols of something. It's just so you can't say Aragorn is Jesus or Frodo is Jesus. He never would have thought of it that way. This is a world and these are characters, but when you are a Christian, when you are truly a Christian, it's deep down inside you, and it's very hard to produce anything, artistically without it spilling out into it. So these things spill out. So did he, I can't believe it's coincidence, but I also don't know that he meant it to be a direct, we're supposed to allegorically connect them, but it is a nice touch. We only have, a little over 5 minutes, but I really wanted to read to you. It took me a long time to finally work my way through the appendices, but I just want to read to you. There's a section, and it tells you what happens later. And I just thought it would be fun for you to hear the highlights of what happens later. This is Appendix B. Ben, I don't mind if you follow along, but I would have really appreciated if you didn't shout something out, because then they'll hear it at different times. Okay, it tells you what happened, after they head home. Okay, so September 21st, Frodo and Samwise set out from Hobbiton. On September 22nd, which you might not remember, is Frodo and Bilbo's birthday. They meet the last riding of the Keepers of the Rings in the Woody End. We discover that Elrond and Gandalf have the other rings. They come to the Grey Havens. Frodo and Bilbo depart over the sea with the three keepers, the end of the Third Age. And so it's now the Fourth Age of Middle-earth. Okay, so here are some highlights. That was in 3021. Okay, 1422. With the beginning of this year, the Fourth Age began. Oh, I'm sorry, that was 1421, Shire Reckoning. So the next year, Will Whitfoot resigns. He's the mayor. Samwise is elected mayor of the Shire. Peregrine Took marries Diamond of Longcleave. King Elisar issues an edict that men are not to enter the Shire, and he makes it a free land under the protection of the Northern Scepter. 3 years later, Faramir, son of Peregrine, is born. Next year, Goldilocks, daughter of Samwise, is born. Meriadoc, called the Magnificent. He's Meriadoc the Magnificent now. Becomes master of Buckland. Great gifts are sent to him by King Eomer and the Lady Eowyn of Ithilien. Peregrine, this is happening in over many years. I'm not reading the year every time. Becomes the Took and the Thane. He's the old Took now, right? King Elisar makes the Thane, the Master, and the Mayor Councilors of the North Kingdom. Master Samwise is elected mayor for the second time. In 1436, 15 years after it all went down, King Elisar rides north. He comes to the Brandywine Bridge, and there he greets his friends. He gives the Star of the Dunedain to Master Samwise, and Eleanor, Sam's oldest daughter Eleanor, is made a maid of honor to Queen Arwen. Sam becomes mayor for the third time. In 1442, Master Samwise and his wife and Eleanor ride to Gondor and stay there for a year. Eleanor the Fair marries Fastred of Greenholm on the Far Downs in 1451. And Eleanor has a baby, Elfstan Fairbairn. They're sounding very elvish now, aren't they? Master Sam becomes mayor for the 5th time, then the 6th time, and then eventually Faramir Took marries Goldilocks, daughter of Samwise. Sam becomes mayor for the 7th and last time, and being 96 years old at the end of his office. Apparently, hobbits live quite long. Okay, and then in 1482, the death of Mistress Rose, wife of Master Samwise, Rosie Cotton, on Mid-Year's Day. On September 22nd, Frodo and Bilbo's birthday, Master Samwise rides out from Bag End. He comes to the Tower Hills and is last seen by Eleanor, to whom he gives the Red Book, afterwards kept by the Fairbairns. Among them, the tradition is handed down from Eleanor that Samwise passed the towers and went to the Grey Havens and passed over the sea, last of the ring bearers, even though it was for a short time. 2 years later, a message came from Rohan to Buckland that King Eomer wished to see Master Holdwide again. Means Mary. Mary was old, 102, but still hale. He took counsel with his friend the Thane, Pippin, and soon after they handed their goods and their offices to their sons and set out and were never seen again in the Shire. It was heard after that Master Meriadoc came to Edoras and was with King Eomer before he died that autumn. Then he and Thane Peregrine went to Gondor and passed what short years were left to them in that realm until they died and were laid among the great of Gondor. 1541, so 120 years after the War of the Ring. In this year, on March 1st, came the last passing of King Elisar. It is said that the beds of Meriadoc and Peregrine were set beside the bed of the great king. Then Legolas built a gray ship in Ithilien and sailed down Anduin and so over the sea. And with him, it is said, went Gimli the dwarf. And when that ship passed, an end was come in Middle-earth to the Fellowship of the Ring. So if you want to know more about the history of dwarves or elves or any of the stuff, or the whole story of Beren and Luthien is in here, the appendices are fine. All this in stuff. And about how to speak Elvish and that sort of thing. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you could glance through the appendices if you have a desire. You can work on some more poetry, but finish Dorothy Mills, and I will see you next week for our last time.
Yo, Mrs. Ferguson.